For centuries, the Vikings were feared across Europe, ruthless warriors with dragon-headed ships, horned helmets, and blood-soaked raids. But what if everything you think you know about them is wrong? Were they only brutal invaders, or something far more mysterious? Tonight we uncover the hidden truths of the Viking world, secrets that history tried to bury. When most people hear Viking, they imagine savage pirates raiding villages. But the real story is far deeper. The Vikings weren't just warriors, they were explorers, traders, poets, and even skilled craftsmen. So who were they really? And why did their culture rise so suddenly, only to vanish within a few centuries? The Viking Age began around 793 AD, with a shocking raid on Lindisfarne, a Christian monastery in England. To terrified monks they seemed like demons from the sea, but the Vikings didn't appear out of nowhere. Their roots were in Scandinavia, Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. Lands of harsh winters, endless forests, and cold seas. Survival there was brutal, and this shaped the Viking spirit. Let's clear one of history's biggest myths. Vikings did not wear horned helmets. That image came from 19th century opera costumes. In truth, they wore simple iron helmets, or none at all. Another myth, that they were filthy barbarians. Archaeology shows they bathed regularly, sometimes more than Europeans of their time. They even carried grooming kits with combs, tweezers, and razors. The Vikings were not savages, they were shockingly advanced. The secret to Viking power wasn't a larger population or superior weaponry, but a revolutionary piece of technology: their ships. These vessels were the pinnacle of naval engineering for their time, a masterpiece of form and function that gave them an unparalleled advantage on the water, allowing for their sudden and dramatic emergence onto the world stage. At the heart of their fleet was the legendary longship. Built using a clinker technique with overlapping oak planks, its hull was both incredibly strong and remarkably flexible, bending with the waves rather than breaking. Its shallow draft was a game-changer, enabling Vikings to navigate far upriver and land directly on beaches for surprise raids. This unique combination of ocean-going resilience and riverine agility made it the ultimate vessel for warfare and exploration. Powered by sail and oar, these ships carried the Norsemen across the known world and beyond. To the east, they sailed the rivers of Russia, establishing trade routes to Constantinople and Baghdad. To the south, they raided the coasts of Spain and North Africa, but their most audacious voyages were west, pushing into the unknown, unforgiving waters of the North Atlantic. They settled Iceland, then Greenland. From there, around the year 1000, Leif Erikson ventured further west. For centuries, these journeys, told in the Icelandic sagas, were dismissed as legend. But in the 1960s, archaeology at Lance aux Meadows in Newfoundland confirmed the stories. The discovery of a Norse settlement proved the Vikings reached North America nearly 500 years before Columbus, making them the first Europeans to set foot in the New World. Beyond the clatter of swords and the gleam of silver, the Vikings navigated a universe far more complex than their longships ever explored. Their spiritual world was a cosmos of 9 realms, all connected by the immense ash tree, Yggdrasil. This was a world of gods, giants, and dwarves, a vibrant tapestry of creation, conflict, and an inevitable fiery end, Ragnarok. At the heart of their pantheon were figures of immense power: Odin, the All-Father, a relentless seeker of wisdom who sacrificed his eye for knowledge; Thor, the thunderous protector of humanity, his hammer Mjolnir a symbol of order against chaos; and Freya, a goddess of love and beauty, but also a formidable warrior who claimed half of all warriors slain in battle for her own afterlife hall. These were not mere fireside tales, they were the fabric of reality, shaping a Viking's destiny. The promise of Valhalla, Odin's great hall, drove warriors to acts of incredible bravery, for a glorious death in battle was the highest honor. Their belief in shaping destiny is carved into stone. Runes were more than an alphabet, they were conduits of power. They practiced a form of magic known as Seder, shamanistic rituals used to divine the future and influence the threads of fate, believing the veil between worlds could be pierced. Perhaps the most terrifying manifestation of this was the Berserker. These warriors, whose name may mean bear shirt, entered a furious trance in battle, howling like wild animals and fighting with seemingly inhuman strength. One theory points to the ritual use of hallucinogenic plants, like the fly agaric mushroom, to induce this rage. Others suggest it was self-induced battle hypnosis, a psychological state achieved through frenzied pre-battle rituals. Were they super soldiers fueled by psychedelics, or masters of psychological warfare? Fact, or legend? Not everything about the Vikings was glorious. Human sacrifice was real. Archaeologists uncovered graves where slaves were buried alive with their masters to serve them in the afterlife. At the same time, the Vikings had advanced laws, early parliaments, and even gave women rights to own property and divorce, unheard of in most medieval societies. So were they brutal killers? Or pioneers of freedom? By the 11th century, the Viking Age ended. Christianity spread across Scandinavia, replacing the old gods. Kingdoms formed and raiding gave way to trade. But perhaps the greatest reason for their fall was this: the world learned their tactics. Villages built defenses, armies grew stronger, and the element of surprise was lost. The Vikings faded, but their legend never died. Today, DNA studies show millions of people carry Viking ancestry. Words from Old Norse still shape modern languages. From Russia to England, traces of Viking blood and culture remain. But their greatest legacy is mystery. Because every excavation, every rune, every burial site reveals new secrets. Secrets that may forever change how we see the Vikings. So, who were the Vikings really? Brutal warriors? For centuries, that was the dominant story. They were painted as one-dimensional monsters descending from the mist, their dragon-proud ships a symbol of terror. This image of the bloodthirsty berserker is powerful, seared into our collective imagination. Fearless explorers? That's the other side of the coin. These were the people who mastered the treacherous North Atlantic, using sun and stars to navigate where no European had dared. They settled Iceland, colonized Greenland, and built a settlement in North America, 5 centuries before Columbus. Or were they something far more complex? The Viking was not just a warrior or an explorer. They were a farmer, a poet, a lawmaker, and a merchant. Their society was built on a surprisingly democratic legal system, where free men gathered to settle disputes. They were artisans of incredible skill, crafting powerful sagas that tell of gods, giants, and the human heart. They were an ancient civilization hiding wisdom and mysteries we are only beginning to understand. Every new archaeological find challenges our assumptions. Was the legendary Shield Maiden a reality? What meanings are encoded in their cryptic runes? The truth is still buried beneath the soil of Scandinavia, waiting to be uncovered. This journey into the past is far from over. And if you want to keep uncovering the world's most chilling and fascinating secrets, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Join our community of explorers, because the next chapter of history is waiting, and you won't want to miss what we uncover next.